Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video. Today, unlike the last couple of videos where I talked about individual topics, mostly, I just want to take a look at a few news articles from the last day or so that I found interesting, and at the market in general. You see I have a couple tabs open here. And first up, let's look at CoinMarketCap, and oh boy, this is not looking nice. It does look like we have caught ourselves here. If we look at the 7-day graphs for all the major coins, we see the big drop about 4 days ago. That was in two smaller parts. We see an initial drop, another drop that happened after Bitcoin was shorted, when someone had insider advanced knowledge of the fake news about Goldman Sachs being released. Then we saw it stable for a couple days at the price. Then we saw another drop yesterday, and it seems to be recovering from that drop now. But in general, everything is in the red, and no one except for Dogecoin or Dogecoin, Waves has survived. But yeah, we see everything in the red. It's not looking very nice. Bitcoin dominance at an unprecedented 55.7%, and the market cap ever so slightly below 200 billion. But let us not get caught up in the negative here. Let's look at some articles. Now, the CEO of Coinbase says that Bitcoin and altcoins are in a correction period. Importantly, a correction period is not a downfall. A correction period is the prices dropping a bit before they go back up. Now let's read the article together, shall we? On September 8th, during the TechCrunch conference Disrupt, the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, spoke about the company's reaction to the attention cryptocurrency gained in Q4 of 2017. He also discussed the rapid growth of the firm and issues faced by the platform. Now, a lot of this is just him talking about Coinbase, about how they dealt with the crazy 2017 and 2018. How many people signed up for the platform? Like here, we see 40,000 people signing up on the platform in one day, then 500,000 within a month. Those are crazy high numbers. But the important thing here is that he considers this a correction period, to quote him, so we actually get more work done during these kinds of correction periods. His idea is that doing corrections when the prices are down, when the prices have been down for a while, to quote him, investors that just want to make a quick buck or are in it for the wrong reason, they just sort of leave and they lose interest, and people who are in it for the long term and want to just build good products and go talk to our customers, which is what I want the team to do, they stick around. So his argument here, these downturns, these corrections, they wait out all the bad elements, all the bad players in the crypto world who don't want in it anyways. All the people who are in crypto for short-term gains, who just want the prices to go up 10% and then hit and run, sell off and run off, and all the people who are just speculating, who are just in it for a quick buck, all these people are leaving. And who is left are the people who know what the future of crypto has in store, who believe in the future of crypto, who believe in the technology and in the projects on the market. And that is ultimately good for the health of the markets in the long term. So this is a correction, but we can expect this not to last much longer. I would agree that this is a correction. I don't know when it will end. That is incredibly hard to say, but I know it won't hold on for very, very long. Sooner or later, we will see everything bounce back, because there is so much money flowing into the crypto world, so much investment, so much development being done on top of blockchain technology, so many big companies and banks gaining interest. These markets will explode again, and it's just a question of when. I've seen a few people say that they believe this is a conceded effort by a few higher ups in the crypto world to test out the bottoms of the market. I've seen people theorize that people are trying to push down the prices as far as they will go to find the bottom. Because that bottom, like say if Bitcoin goes to 5,000 and then it just won't go lower because people decide that is its innate value and they're unwilling to sell for lower prices, that tells us a lot about how high it can go. Like people think you can make a valid prediction about how high the markets can potentially go if you just find their bottom. And that this is them trying to bottom out the market to see how low it will go until we meet strong resistance. And people are predicting that strong resistance will be somewhere around 5,000 so we might see it drop towards that. I've seen that 5,000 number thrown around a lot by different analysts. But that is just what I've been hearing. Let's continue. We have an interesting correlation between the long-term Bitcoin and gold charts, and I'm not going to read this whole thing, but let's just take a look at this. This is gold over 43 years, and this is Bitcoin over 9 years. And if you look at it, the peaks, the movement, it is almost exactly the same. And of course, if you compare enough things, sooner or later you will find two that are closely matched. And correlation doesn't prove any kind of causation or any real connection. It can be accidental, but the chances of this being accidental are relatively low. And it's unclear what this tells us about Bitcoin or about gold, but it's hard to completely discount that as being nothing. This is way too close, and we see further, yeah. We see a zoomed in view here that shows even on shorter term, the peaks, the lows are pretty much exactly the same. And this is something else that that is predicting the price will go into the 5,000s. In this case, based on gold having fallen to $1,526, the prediction is that if Bitcoin will follow the same trajectory, it will fall to $5,755. Now, as I said, there is a possibility that this is coincidence, that this is a correlation that doesn't mean anything. Like I said, if you compare the Bitcoin price to every stock and every traditional asset, sooner or later you will find one that has a very similar movement to it. So don't read too much into this. It's just still interesting to see. And I'd be interested in seeing what more technically minded people who do proper analysis of these have to say. If there might be similar reasons why they're moving in a similar way. Even if there's no direct connection, seeing this gold movement might be able to inform us on the future of the Bitcoin. Next up, as something more positive, as we were talking about the markets being down and potentially having to go down lower, there has been a recent survey showing that most investors, including institutional investors, want to buy more crypto in 2018, meaning they are definitely all in for the long run and expecting the prices to go up. Let us read this together. A majority of accredited and retail investors plan to increase their crypto asset holdings over the next 12 months, according to a survey published September 5th by investment platform SharesPost. The mid-year survey, which was conducted in July, polled 2,490 retail investors and 528 individual accredited institutional investors. The recent survey shows both consumers and investors remain optimistic about cryptocurrencies in spite of the 60% decline in cryptocurrency valuations in 2018. At least 59% of investors and 72% of consumers confirm they are planning to buy more coins in the next 12 months. Moreover, 57% of investors and 66% of consumers expect crypto valuations to grow next year. Respondents were also asked to rank cryptocurrencies by preference. Bitcoin was most preferred, followed by Ethereum, Ripple, and Litecoin. According to the survey, respondents found these four cryptocurrencies have the most potential for long-term success. Furthermore, participants increasingly expressed interest in blockchain technology. 32% of investors and 49% of consumers say their employers are interested in implementing blockchain in the near future. Both consumers and investors think the success of blockchain integration mostly depends on the prevalence of relevant commercial applications and proper education on the technology, which is pretty much what I keep saying. We need mainstream products that use crypto. 50% of respondents said crypto market volatility was their chief concern, while 37% said their main concern was security. As Cointelegraph previously reported, a poll conducted by research service YouGov Omnibus in August shows that half of American millennials are interested in using cryptocurrency, and at least 79% of Americans know at least one cryptocurrency. Now, as always, the number polled isn't particularly huge, and the sample might be skewed towards people who have an interest in cryptos, but this is still very promising that 72% of consumers and 59% of professional investors are planning to buy more crypto in the immediate future. I think this tells us a lot about what the long-term outlook for the market is. All of these people think the markets are going to go up in the long term, and they think they're going to go up significantly, because else they wouldn't be investing in such a volatile market if they don't think it will ultimately be worth it. So this is very promising for the crypto markets. Next up, there was a congressional hearing about the types of money used by terrorists, and they have found crypto to be a poor form of money for terrorism, which goes completely counter the mainstream media narrative for the last couple of years that cryptos are a cesspool of illegal stuff, that they are used to fund terrorism, to buy drugs, to do all kinds of illegal shit. So let us read through this. The US Congress Subcommittee on Terrorism and Illicit Finance has discussed various methods of terrorism financing with cryptocurrency, according to an official press release on the US House of Representatives Financial Services Committee September 7th. In order to monitor threats and methods of terrorist financing, the hearing considered major means of transferring funds by terrorists, including traditional financial institutions and semi-formal methods such as the Hawala exchange system as well as cryptocurrencies. However, while Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, and other terrorist groups have all attempted to raise funds through crypto, they have not had great success, as Congress concluded in the meeting. I'm not going to try and pronounce this name. Director of Analysis for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Center on Sanctions and Illicit Finance, stressed that most terrorists, especially those that serve on jihadist battlefields, are currently living in environments where crypto is not operable, which means that fiat use is preferable for buying goods. He pinpointed fiat money as the most anonymous method for funding, claiming that it is very popular among terrorists. While they stated that crypto is a poor form of money for jihadists and cold hard cash is still king, according to a Forbes article, he still acknowledged that there are multiple examples of terrorist cryptocurrency funding campaigns. The expert further stated that in order to combat the potential successful use of crypto fundraising campaigns by terrorists, the US government bodies that are responsible for terrorist finance investigations should become more skilled in analyzing cryptocurrency transactions. He noted, by preparing now for terrorists' increasing use of cryptocurrencies, the US can limit the ability to turn digital currency markets into a sanctuary for illicit finance. At this point, he appeared to recommend that the authorities should focus on minor crypto exchanges that trade alternative tokens or privacy coins instead of major exchanges that have significantly boosted their anti-money laundering and know your customer policies over the past few years. Earlier this year, risk management giant LexisNexis, that is a funny name, partnered with crypto exchange Blockbit in order to introduce security solutions for exchanges dubbed Trade with Confidence, which intends to prevent terrorism financing among other illicit activities. In January 2018, Representative Ted Bundy, Republican of the House Financial Services Committee, introduced a bill that aims to fight terrorism by offering rewards for information that leads to convictions of cryptocurrency-supported terrorism. So the bottom line is that while, of course, crypto, like all forms of money, can be used to fund terrorism, it is not currently their ideal form of funding. It is a poor form of money for terrorism in its current state. Terrorists are much better served by just using cash, so we shouldn't be all that worried about cryptocurrency being a cesspool for terrorism. And we are definitely not supporting terrorists by also being in support for cryptocurrencies. But we also see here, we need more regulation, we need better ways to counteract the little terrorist financing that is happening through crypto. And last up, I have two pieces of news about Binance. Now, full disclosure here, I have a Binance referral link, which is in the description for this video. So if you want to trade with Binance, if you sign up through that link, a small portion of your fees will go to me with no additional cost to you personally. So I have a horse in this boat. So horse in this boat, I don't think horse in this race. So yeah, just as a disclosure before, Binance is pretty much where you want to go if you want to trade any altcoin that might not be on any of the other major exchanges. It's a massive exchange with like hundreds of coins on it, so I personally use it a lot. And this isn't supposed to be an ad, I'm just saying what I personally feel. Even if you don't use my code to sign up, I'm still gonna say this about Binance, even if I didn't have a code. So let's look at these articles, just wanted to give that disclaimer before. Binance hires IPO heavyweight as CFO, fueling rumors that exchange is going public. Cryptocurrency exchange Binance has recruited an executive with wide experience in initial public offerings as its chief financial officer, Wei Zhao, I probably mispronounced that, who is currently the vice chairman of gay dating platform Grindr, boasts of executive experience running into more than 1.5 decades. Sorry, that sentence just threw me off. He began his career at the Hong Kong subsidiary of Goldman Sachs, where he focused on investment banking. A graduate of Harvard University, where he received a bachelor's degree in economics and East Asian studies, he has particular expertise in growing and scaling business operations in the United States and China. Additionally, he has served as the chief financial officer of both Charm Communications, a Chinese TV advertising firm, and Zhaopin? I don't know that. China's second biggest online recruitment service platform, managing to lead these firms into successful listings on Nasdaq and the New York Stock Exchange, respectively. This has led to speculation that with the hire, Binance is preparing for an IPO. However, the cryptocurrency exchange's CEO has denied this while not dismissing the fact that the relatively young cryptocurrency sector could benefit from the fundraising model. He said on Twitter, "Binance have no plans for IPO, but that doesn't make those experiences less valuable in our new industry. On the contrary, those are very much needed. We are always looking for top talent from traditional finance, internet, any industry and anywhere in the world." Now, I'm not going to read the end of the rest of this. It's an interesting article that, like all articles he used, will of course be linked in the description. I just thought it was interesting that we get a former Goldman Sachs person who has led a lot of large companies in their IPOs, having such a large position in Binance now. I don't think this necessarily means they're planning to do an IPO. Like, this guy has done 2 IPOs, I think, which is more than most, but it's not the defining part of his career. He, in general, is just an expert at scaling, at taking companies to the next level and growing them. And this is very much what Binance is doing right now. They have grown significantly the last couple of years into one of the biggest crypto exchanges. And they are, of course, growing along with the crypto markets. When the markets grow bigger, the major exchanges also grow bigger. And as we know now, they are also planning to go into Africa to expand significantly there. Africa, of course, traditionally a relatively untapped market. Of course, most major companies are active in Africa, but there's generally less going into Africa than into most other continents. But for crypto, there is special appeal to Africa because a lot of African countries don't have an established banking system to the same degree as many, say, European or American nations, or even Asian nations. And cryptocurrencies have more appeal as an alternative. So this is where they are going in the future. Let's read a tiny bit of this. We don't need to read the whole article. This kind of reads like an ad, so I don't want to read the whole thing. But let's just start. Binance Labs director Benjamin Ramon, I think, has stated that Africa is front and center of the company's expansion strategy as it bets on a vision of the 21st century driven by the world's youngest population, gaining increased access to technology and opportunities. In June, CCN reported that Binance began actualizing its African expansion strategy when it opened Uganda's first ever fiat crypto exchange offering trading pairs with the Ugandan shilling. Now, like I said, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I think it's generally a good plan to go for Africa, because while it might not be the most... I'm trying to think of how to say this. I can't think of the word I'm meaning to use right now. That happens when English is your second language and you have a bunch of different languages floating around in your head. That's the downside of being European. You always have like anything from 3 to 5 languages floating around in your head, and sometimes you just can't think of the words in one of them. But yeah, Africa right now might not have the highest potential profits, but long term, Africa is quickly developing. Africa has a huge and growing population with a lot of young people in it, and they are gaining more and more access to modern technologies. And crypto is more appealing in Africa, in much of Africa, than it is in much of Europe, in much of America, in much of Asia. So I think this is a very good, interesting strategy. And I think I'm going to end this video here as we are almost at the 20-minute mark. I hope this video was interesting to you guys. As always, all the links are in the description, and if you want to support the channel, you can also find the Binance referral link. If you sign up to Binance, after using that, I will get a small portion of your trading fees at no extra cost to you, and my donation addresses and my social media links. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys soon.